Contingency log number 86. Codename, Little Green Man, going as far back as the works of H.G. Wells's The War of the Worlds. The concept of an invasion coming from outside our own skies has been ingrained into the mind of human storytelling. The idea that, at any moment, some advanced and hyper-intelligent species will appear and rain down destruction and chaos upon us for a variety of reasons. Their technology being far beyond anything we have accomplished, our own military unable to defend civilians as they are massacred. Though I managed to repel one with just 7 people, but it's not a competition. Though sometimes these invasions are handled differently. Rather than an all-out assault, in some cases the alien species will take a slower approach, masking their appearance as they blend in with human civilization, learning from us and implanting themselves into key professions in order to weaken humanity from within. It is a rather intelligent strategy, something that requires patience and discipline to accomplish, something any competent alien can accomplish with little effort. Fortunately for us, the target of this contingency is neither, as the invader known as Zim seems to conflict with a lot of the things synonymous with your typical alien invader. A member of the Irken species, a race of aliens whose entire civilization revolves around sending their young to other planets so that they may conquer them. Where have I heard this before? Anyway, while each Irken is essentially born to be conquerors, Zim seemed to be a bit too enthusiastic about it. Being someone who once attacked his own home world, even when being warned that he was doing so. He is, understandably, not viewed well amongst his own species, enough so that when other members were being assigned to planets for conquest, Zim had originally been singled out. But with the understanding that sending him away to a far-off planet means he would no longer be in their home world, his leaders were more than happy to send him away. Essentially pawning off their issue to another world, Zim took this unofficial assignment with glee and made his way for Earth without hesitation. Once he had arrived, he would take up residence in a random city. He would enroll himself into a local school so that he can learn all he could about the human race to aid in his conquest. He believed it to be an easy enough conquest, though he was unaware of the many shortcomings and roadblocks that he would be up against along the way, some of which would come from internal sources, but I will get into that soon enough. In truth, there are also many advantages of which Zim has unknowingly benefited from. The first being the humans from his version of Earth seem to be rather aloof to his presence, as while he may attempt to disguise himself, I could hardly call it a grand example of hiding in plain sight. Even the construction of his home seemed to raise no eyebrows, and many would either ignore it or move on with their life as though nothing had just happened. Worse of all, the adults, specifically those who would be under any form of power, also dismiss any notions to Zim's true identity, rather concerning if you ask me. The second being his technology, one which was supplied by his home world. He is also capable of creating his own, and he has no reservations for using them, which, when stacked with the fact that many who would come across his actions will be unresponsive to it, has left Zim to toy with the many other children in his school. In one such case, using his technology to steal a large number of organs, replacing them with various objects he could find, something that somehow went completely unnoticed by the school staff. If it wasn't clear that Zim lacked any empathy for the lives of others, this might be enough to convince you. And while he has no moral issues with harming his classmates, Zim takes special enjoyment in targeting a specific student. A boy by the name of Dib, he is the only one who has seen through Zim's disguise, and the only person who had stood in his way in Zim's attempts for conquest. Unfortunately, Dib has failed to convince anyone else of the threat, leaving him alone and at many times at the mercy of Zim attempting to rid him from the equation. 2 ways which stand out the most to me and proves that he is capable of attacking you when you are at your weakest would be the time in which Zim would shrink himself down to micro size and implanted himself into Dib's lunch as he was consuming it. His plan was to enter Dib's nervous system and make his way towards the young boy's brain, his intent being to do enough damage to effectively render Dib a vegetable. attacking his nervous system along the way to prevent any intervention. Fortunately for Dib, his sister, who viewed this as a simple game, would take over and unknowingly save him from his fate. And the second was a means that initially gave Dib no means of defending himself, attacking him when he least expects it, not from the present, but rather attacking Dib in the past, far before he and Zim would ever meet. Initially, Zim's plan was to attack Dib when he was much younger, hoping to send a large machine to take care of him, but the time machine he had created would not allow it to make its way through its gates. But Zim would soon discover that he can instead send smaller objects to the past, replacing things in Dib's past, which would result in several accidents. This would cause several physically crippling events, leaving current Dib far weaker than he was now. And towards the end, he would succeed in ending Dib's life, at least for a time. As due to a rare instance of Dib's father taking care of his kids, he would use his own knowledge to save Dib and make him stronger than ever. A temporary improvement, which almost led to Zim's defeat. Countering Zim, despite the access he has to his technology, is not quite as difficult as one might believe. He is indeed a dangerous threat, and if left unchecked, there's no telling what he could have accomplished by now. But dangerous or not, it means nothing if he is also unable to cover his weaknesses. And given the amount of pride he has in himself, I find it hard to believe that he would accept having any to begin with, which fortunately for me, makes them far easier to exploit. My first approach would be to remove his technology from the equation, as Zim lacks any real combat ability. As without his technology, Zim lacks any real means of self-defense, even Dib being enough of a physical threat to cause him to flee, rather than risk a physical confrontation with the child. After learning his school schedule, I have more than enough time to tamper with his home while he is away. While he does have some form of security, the robots posing as his parents, for example, but they are riddled with flaws and prone to short-circuiting. He attempted to fix this once, but this only seemed to make them far worse than they were originally. He also has a robotic henchman by the name of Gur, who, while is equipped with various weaponry, was intentionally created with limited brain capacity. This being done by Zim's leaders, likely hoping that Gur would unintentionally lead to Zim's demise at some point. Due to this, Gur was incredibly easy to handle, as I managed to bribe him with a gift card to a local fast food restaurant. I briefly considered tampering with him as well, but I honestly don't think I could make him any more of a hindrance to Zim than he is now. Regardless, my unrestricted access to Zim's home allowed me to introduce a virus to his technology systems, one which will not only lock him out of his equipment, but also force him out of the home once I activate the contingency. On the chance that he manages to get around my virus, I've also installed various sprinklers within the home, one which are set to go off should the initial virus ever be discovered and undone. It may be a bit cruel, but Zim's biology does not react well with earthly water, contact with his skin having an acid-like reaction, resulting in a considerable amount of pain, something Dib once took advantage of. Though unlike Dib, I will not give Zim a chance to retaliate after using said contingency against him. I have to give Dib his due respect, as someone without any support and only using whatever gear he can get access to. He was capable of holding back Zim's various attempts to take over and/or destroy the planet. He's more than proven himself a competent enough ally, and I believe he is worth keeping an eye on for the future. And while still young, I do believe he is owed a chance to finally see all his hard work reach a satisfying conclusion. As such, I will be reaching out to him for this mission, ensuring that he is kept out of danger, but also allowing him to be a part of Zim's defeat. Zim aside, I am also doing the research needed should his species, for whatever reason, decide to attack Earth themselves. As such, I've turned to a few different experts when it could come to aliens, leading me to question Green Lantern. When I mentioned the Urkin race, he stared at me for a moment before going into a laughing fit. Maybe I should ask Martian Manhunter. If you also have a character you wish for me to cover, or just want to support this channel, I'll have a link to my Ko-fi page. There will also be a Google Doc with the list of characters who have ever been done or already commissioned by others.